Hey guys, welcome back to ToonPang. This is Jayden here. Blake's not here this week, unfortunately. He was busy with work. But I'm here with another deck profile, and this time it's Altergeist. We do live in Australia, so we just got a copy of Link Karibo legal here, which is fantastic. I do have a bit of a complaint about it, but I'll talk about it later. We'll jump straight into the deck profile. So we run the triple multi-faker, heart and soul of the deck. Gets you the best card in the deck. People will say it's the best. It definitely has an amazing effect, but once you've used that effect, it becomes essentially the worst. But yeah, you need to run her. She's fantastic. She's simultaneously the best and the worst Altergeist. But yeah, she's amazing. Then you run the best one. You run the triple Miluseek. She is absolutely fantastic. She gives you access to multi-faker straight away. She gives you access to the Link Karibo. She is fantastic. Would not run the deck without her. Without the deck, this deck would have no synergy. Would probably brick every single hand. She is fantastic. Easily the best Altergeist. 100%. Then probably like the third best. It's probably like, I'd say Miluseek, then Multifaker, then this. But this late game could potentially be the best. It is fantastic. You're on the triple Marionetta. She basically contribute herself and bring out multi-faker from grave, or the Siliquitus from grave, or whatever hell you need from grave, and trigger all their effects and do everything, and it's amazing. And then also when she's normal summon, you get a trap directly from deck to field, which is absolutely fantastic, and can get you that multi-faker straight away out of your hand, which is fantastic. Then I run the double Siliquitus. You only really ever need 2 Siliquitus, and you don't want to see it in your hand, and then it's revivable off the manifestations, so don't recommend running more than 2. It is still an amazing card that you need to run. I run the one Conqueror. A lot of people don't run this, but I think it's really essential. Your opponent flips a floodgate on you, and then try to attack you. You special summon the Conqueror, and then you negate the floodgate, and then you go off with multi-fakers and everything else. And then you just basically destroy them, which is fantastic. I think it's an absolute essential at 1 in the deck. I wouldn't run any more. It is a brick because it's 5, but fantastic nonetheless. And it can be brought out with multi-faker, which is fantastic. Then I run the hand traps. So Ghost Ogre. I was running Ash Blossom, and don't get me wrong, Ash Blossom's a better hand trap, but this deck struggles against boss monsters. Especially boss monsters with floodgates. Ghost Ogre is basically any of those field spells that get you the big monsters, or that get your opponent the big monsters. Ghost Ogre can deal with like later or whatever, so like Union Hanger. Also just getting rid of those boss monsters straight off the field, so you don't have to waste your Siliquitus effects, is fantastic. Yeah, do not miss the Ash Blossom, but I love the Ghost Ogres. I'm really happy I decided to run those. Then I run the double Droll Lock. I could almost bump this to 3. It destroys so many decks in this format. However, I needed the extra room just to run this next card, which is the double Effect Veiler. I don't run in permanents, partly because of the cost, and partly because I just didn't see it as a necessity. I understand it's amazing to trigger multi-faker on your opponent going first, but you know, I couldn't justify the cost. Usually I can, but I couldn't justify it for the impermanence. Next, going into traps, I run the triple protocol. I think it is absolutely necessary at 3. I understand people running it at 2 because it is searchable, and it's an amazing card, but it's basically Solemn Strike, like a permanent Solemn Strike, which is fantastic. Honestly, it is amazing. Like, if your opponent gets rid of it, I want to see it. I want to already have one on the field. If they get rid of it, I want to be able to flip one straight away and then just trigger my multi-faker anyway. It is fantastic. If I get open multiple copies, I am still happy because they activate off of each other. So you can just literally just destroy one of the other copy you got. It doesn't even matter. So yeah, I play this at 3. Then I play the 2 manifestations. I think it is absolutely necessary at 2. People running it at 1, you can justify it because Siliquitus can bounce it back in quick effect and just play from there. But if I lose it, I want it, and having 2 is just, you know, I guarantee to at least be able to search a manifestation and have a manifestation. So I think it's necessary at 2. Then I run the 1 Emulative. This is kind of like a little tech-in. I know a lot of Altergeist players don't run this, but it is fantastic for triggering all your trap card effects. It also gets you another monster on board for your links, and it's basically protects all your traps. Like, I didn't see any reason not to run it. Running it at 1 is absolutely perfect. I love it. I wouldn't run it any more than 1 though. It is searchable, and if they negate this one, you're not going to cry about it, but it's really nice to have an extra monster on board that protects all your traps, which is fantastic. Then we go into the Altergeist trap that isn't a trap, Altergeist trap, but the triple spoofing. People running double spoofing just because it's not searchable is absolutely ridiculous. You must play this card at 3. If you open this card in hand, going first, you are laughing because you're just going to get that multi-faker, you're going to get the marionette, you're going to get whatever the hell you want, and it just fixes your hands all the time. So absolutely necessary spoofing. You activate spoofing, shuffle your hand back in, add the multi-faker, trigger multi-faker off the resolution of this, and it is fantastic. Must run at 3. Next was a tech-in for me because I wasn't sure how it was going to play, but I ran the triple Mind Crush. This card was fantastic, did way more than I expected. Basically, your opponent would search their deck, you instant Mind Crush what they just searched, you get to look at their hand, you get free information, and you get to rip all cards with that name out of their hand, which is absolutely fantastic. Next are on the 1 Solemn Judgment and 3 Solemn Strike. I thought 3 strike necessary over the 2 strike and the warning, just because this can stop hand traps, which is absolutely fantastic. It's also a trap to trigger your multi-faker, and the Judgment is basically the law. He is God, stops everything. You had to run the Judgment, and then the 3 strike I think is just a better tech-in than the warning. But that's just my build. Play whatever you want. Next, you play probably 3 of the best trap in the format. So double anti-spell and the 1 Imperial Order. Basically says no to Sky Strikers, which is fantastic, and no to Pendulum. It says no to a lot of decks actually, and that's why I love them. They're fantastic cards. And then the 3 spell, I run triple Potter Duality. I ran Desires for a little bit. I would always banish copies of things I needed. Altergeist already struggle in grind game. And if you banish all your shit off Desires, you're going to have no chance, honestly. I really prefer the triple Potter Duality over anything. Okay, so we're going to move on to the extra deck. I run the triple Hexia. I think it's absolutely necessary to run triple Hexia. When you activate multi-faker effect, you can only special summon Altergeist monsters. And if you can only special summon Altergeist monsters, Hexia is the one you want. She is fantastic. Then the 1 Kadolga and the 1 Prime Banshee. Like, you don't make these as much as Hexia, obviously, but, you know, it's pretty much a staple in any Altergeist deck to run 1-1. They do come up sometimes, and when they come up, they're absolutely necessary. But, yeah, it's just nice options to have. Then the 1 Link Rebo. This is where I'm going to say that I'm going to have a bit of a complaint here, because our first printing in Australia was a common. I am not happy. I wanted at least the super, but, you know, at least we have it, and at least it's legal now, so yay, Australia, yay. But yeah, not happy. I'm looking to buy in the Ultras as soon as I find one. But yeah, there we go. We got the Link Rebo, which I'm super stoked about. Makes this deck 100 times better. It is fantastic. Then the 1 Underclock Taker. This card is just amazing, getting things off the board, and then you can make it underneath the whatever monster just to nuke a little bit. They struggle to beat over big things, so this helps depending on the matchup. But yeah, you don't make it too much, but it is an option there. Then I run the 1 Phoenix and the 1 Mermaid for, you know, Ibly, and then just to get rid of floodgates. Just having a Phoenix is really nice. Then I run the 1 Deco Talker just as like a boss monster link for the deck. Now the rest are Cherry's targets, so that's the 1 Isold, the Fire Dragon, the Borolo Dragon, and the Kagari. You can change these up however you want. I just think these are the most necessary right now. I almost wanted to run the Shizuku as well, but I couldn't find the room because I wanted to play this card so much ever since it was released, and this was the deck to play it in. So I played the 1 Ultimate Falcon for the triple Waking the Dragon you're going to play on your side. This beats so many decks now. Like, it's great in the mirror match. It freaks out your opponent. It's fantastic card all around. Explain it more when I get to the Waking the Dragons in the side. Speaking of the side, we're going to move straight on into it. So we run the triple cherries. Can't find my last secret, but cherries nonetheless. This card is amazing in the new format. I almost wanted to main it, but I felt it more necessary to deal with the big boss monsters on field than relying on getting this to hand and stopping them at all from coming out. But because a lot of the time I couldn't see it, and then they'd get the monster out, and then this was useless. But other than that, cherries is fantastic. Like I said, running it and then hitting that Borreload is really important, and running it and hitting the Phoenix even is absolutely amazing. Yes. Next, probably for like the craziest card in this deck, even though like a lot of people run it, but just kind of the funny things you can do with it is the double Gamma Seal. Now, this is way better over Rust Fear Mode, just because there's a way better interaction with a lot of cards in this deck. So with the say the Siliquitus, you give them the Kaiju, you bounce the Kaiju back to your hand, and then you Kaiju again. If they have multiple monsters, that basically gets rid of 2 of the monsters, which is enough for Gokies for you to play. The Rust Fear Mode obviously is going to get you 3, but you know the 2 is really all you're going to need. Plus, this also has an interaction with Miluseek. So if you can't get rid of the Kaiju back to your hand, or you can't pop it on field or whatever, you just attack directly with Miluseek, pop the Gamma Seal. It is fantastic. Absolutely love it. Crazy shenanigans you can get up to with this. It just made it worth running for me more than the Rastia modes. Next, for the mirror match, the double heavy Storm Duster. This card puts in work. It is fantastic in the mirror match. It triggers your Multi-Faker, acts as a free Twin Twister during your opponent's turn. Even during your turn, as long as you don't declare the battles. But Altergeist going first, you're not going to be declaring attacks early game anyway. Well, at least until you get the Miluseek out. Next, also for the mirror match, I run triple Wiretap. Wiretap for me was better than Red Reboot, because Red Reboot you couldn't OTK in this deck. It's almost impossible to OTK in this deck unless you have Hexteer with like a Borreload under it or something, which is crazy, stupid, and really hard to do for this deck anyway. But this is ridiculous anyway. For the mirror match, it is a definite plus for you, because you're going to trigger off the Multi-Faker after negating their trap, which is most likely going to get their Multi-Faker. But yeah, definitely the triple Wiretap is a necessity. Next, for a little bit of a spicy older card, I run 2 Magic Deflectors. This is a really old school card. I think it's from Abyss Rising. Yeah, it is Abyss Rising. If you don't know what it does, I'll read you the effect. Basically, it reads, for the rest of this turn, negate all equipped, field, continuous, and quick play spell cards effects on the field. Which is amazing when you partner it together with the anti-spell and the Imperial Orders. It's basically just a sure thing to stall against Sky Strikers and to get out the board that you can just win with. And it's basically, you're just going to see a spell negator during the game you're playing a spell heavy deck, which is absolutely fantastic, and I think an absolute necessity. Next, probably like the driving force that made me want to play a trap deck was this card, and it's a bit cheese, but I'm fascinated by it because it gets you the Ultimate Falcon for free, but also once your opponent knows you're playing it, they're too scared to hit your back row. So, well, or at least they're more cautious of it. So they're going to be holding back some of their spell and trap negates, which allows you to set up a bigger board and just establish your Altergeist like dream board, which is fantastic. And then if they do trigger it, you're going to get the Ultimate Falcon, and that Ultimate Falcon's more than likely going to win you that game, unless they run Utopia the Lightning in the extra deck. This is my tech. You can change it up however you want. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed what I'm running. Leave any suggestions in the comments below of how I could improve it. I understand if you want to run Impermanence, it is a fantastic card, no doubt. I just couldn't justify it to myself to get it right now. But I'm sure eventually I will persuade myself to get a couple copies. Another option, I would say, if you didn't like any of the side decking options, or you didn't like the magic reflectors, I would suggest 2 Unending Nightmare. This was a staple in Altergeist for a while, but it's just not as good while Dracos aren't performing as well, and Spiral's kind of hanging around, but you know, it's okay. But yeah, Unending Nightmare. Still really good for hitting those field spells, like I've said, stopping boss monsters and stuff. So yeah, that is there. I just found Ghost Ogre to be a bit quicker, and you know, it was just a better option for me. But yeah, like I said, let us know what you thought in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.
The apocalypse.